the full power of the dark side. Good!
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Misa back!
Prepare to fire!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 60, recorded on Wednesday, February 10th, 2016. And first up, I am Fred, your host, aka Sith Lord Corv. And joining me tonight is the commander of Sith Intelligence, Agent Louis Olan.
Hello, Fred. Hello, everyone. Hitbox, Twitch, YouTube. What is going on? And as always, it's time. Some tea, and this time some coffee as well. With Sith Intelligence.
Well played, sir. Episode 60, Lou. That means we now have one episode for every year Maury's been alive.
Ooh! Wow.
And we turned it over to the old man, Moriku of Tatooine, who's still sitting on ID-10T.
I'm not old. It's just the treatment as
Whoa.
rapidly aged my cells. I just can't get the formula right. Plus, nobody knows whether to inject me now because I'm less vain, more fat, and globulous.
God.
And I can just feel ID-10T's antenna getting closer to my heart every day. He's really wedged up there, and
Lou.
we may need some Swarfiga and Pele's
Lou.
long-handled broom.
Lou. ID-10T didn't have an antenna, did he?
Not that I remember. His specifications were... Oh, God.
Well, when I was first on the ship, I refitted him so he could get the Super Bowl on reception. Just it was from the past, so it needed a really long antenna.
You lying Brit. You don't even know what American football is.
I'm not Brit. I'm from Tatooine, and I'm half man, half Hut.
You Imperial wannabe. You poser.
No, I was cheering for the Nets all weekend.
Also here is Pele the janitor.
I don't know if that's an antenna or if that's a laser torch that he's got. Well, hopefully there's no gas pockets around. I think I'm going to hide in my hazmat suit tonight, just in case.
I just did finish eating curried Jawa, so if it is a laser torch, there could possibly be some back explosions.
No, we needed those Jawas to throw in the power core.
I was hungry, and, we could be in for some pebble dashing of the ship. We could do with a new decoration.
You fat bastard. As soon as we figure out something that we can shoot you with that won't ricochet off your log, you're getting off this ship. And over to the captain of the ship, on the other side of this tub of lard, Paige, a.k.a. Captain Kimbray.
I'm glad to be back after a couple weeks away, but everything's dirty, sticky, and I'm very upset. I don't even want to sit in my own chair. Who did this to my chair?
In the event of a natural disaster, Mori can be used as a bouncy house.
Oh, that did not even answer the question. Just just get on with the show.
Are you going to eat that fig biscuit?
What?
Biscuit? That's for Treek.
Was it worming tablet?
I think it came out the other end of Treek, actually.
Oh,
I
so we
think
need,
that's
we need to put
banned
it in Lou's cereal.
I think that's a pesticide ban on 47 planets.
Lou's special raisins.
Oh.
Lou, I've been meaning to tell you it's hard to get raisins out here in space, so we've been supplementing your jaw.
Yep.
Great. I'm going back to the freeze-dried food.
You don't even want to know what Maury left in the freezer.
I don't think Maury's left his spot. He's kind of cemented to the floor. We're going to have to cut
Luckily,
that deck
Treek
panel
fetch me
out.
things because she has found a new place to hibernate in the fat folds under my breast. So she fetches me things now. And here's your toothbrush, Fred.
Lou, how difficult would it be for us to finance another ship and also pilot this one into a sun?
Oh, I'll start that right now.
Yeah, start crunching the numbers on that, buddy.
We have 0 numbers.
So, Paige, what's coming up tonight in the captain's log?
Coming up in the captain's log, we have Coffee impressions so far, and I assume that by this you mean impressions on the new content.
Waka waka waka. There's an impression.
Up to this point, and including the new content, without spoilers for the new chapter yet.
All right, and also in the captain's log, we have Agent Olan's intelligence report, where Lou is going to present Dark Jedi Part 1.
Oh, and I should also mention, we record the show Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at hitbox.tv/StarWarsBeyond.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's important. And as always, we do have something quick to mention. And this is coming from Tate Watson on the Data Tracker forums. Posted a little while ago. It actually goes, "Hey everyone, we will be taking the servers offline in order to apply patch 4.1a on Thursday, February 11th. And here are the details. Obviously, the date is tomorrow on the 11th of February. The time is going to be 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 1300 to 1500 Greenwich Mean Time. Version 4.1a. This patch will address a few issues, some of which are missing crafting schematics, unusable alliance alerts, Chapter 10 area lag, the Outlander gear that changed color schemes, and an issue that caused Chapter 10 to not be pushed to all eligible players. Thank you for your patience as we maintain Star Wars The Old Republic."
Good changes.
Yeah, I'm glad they actually changed that, because I think originally they weren't going to do any of this until next week's maintenance.
Yeah, I just wait to see what they break with this one.
Well, and you want to fix some of that stuff because, Rakghoul events going on, and if you're an agent and you have Dr. Loken recruited, he'll actually say things at certain points. No spoilers, but, you want to have him if you were going to go ahead and do Chapter 10 on your agent.
I think I told him to go F himself or something.
Well,
My agent.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, well.
It isn't a lot, but, we want every bit of story we can get.
Really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Well, it's funny, too, because there were some hidden achievements with gathering 2 of the new companions. And one of them, you actually need another player at a certain point in the recruiting process to basically kill you, and you get a legacy title.
Right, yeah, that's right. I was hearing about that on Fleet. It's like, oh, okay, we can go check that out. Hang on.
Yeah.
Now, is it a cool title, or is it one you'll never use?
It goes with the character that you're recruiting, so...
Yeah,
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a fun title. I mean, yeah, you don't have to have it, but it is one of those fun achievement titles to have on your own character. If you don't have it.
Nobody plays games for fun. What are you talking about?
Right.
Casuals.
Casuals.
Yes.
Drabnabbit. Is it Drabnabbit? Dagnabbit?
Dagnabbit.
Dagnabbit.
What does that actually mean? Does that mean something? Like, does
Well,
it
not-
translate to something?
Yeah, it's
Came from Looney Tunes.
F casuals.
Yeah.
F casuals. All right, moving into our discussion topic. We're just gonna.
Fred, are you gonna eat? You gonna eat that cake?
That is not cake. It's a urinal cake.
No! Oh, why is it out here?
We always stick them to Maury's back until we need them.
Okay, Play, can you just take those from them with gloves on, please, and put them back in the bathroom where they belong?
And take that one with the bite mark that Maury chewed on earlier. That was.
I could really use the urinal cake as well because I may have soiled myself.
I think we'll need.
I need a washcloth.
Play,
or
get
at
the
least
shovel.
Get the hose, oh my
a bed
god.
towel.
Hose.
I need a beach towel, possibly.
Hose. You think we can afford water?
Well, we recycle well on this ship.
Everything really goes to Shaduki when I leave you boys alone, I swear to goodness.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. There's Shaduki everywhere.
Did you see Treat's
Nope.
Shaduki Castle?
Oh, Lord. She molded it out of poop. No!
We were playing Castle Defenders and we,
I hate you. Shut up, Tubby.
my castle is more like a fortress. And, it even has an opening door made of feces.
I'm just waiting for Lou to tell me you're really an animatronic man. There's no way that something as large as you is actually an organic being.
Oh.
Well, a third of me is ID10T.
That is also true.
Less than a third, because it's very small now, the robot. It's as small as it's ever been.
You make
It's-
huts look like caterpillars.
I just wanted to infiltrate their system, and now I'm this monster.
Difference is nobody worships you or thinks you have any real power. You're
I
just,
have all the power.
just a dispatcher.
It was in the Christmas special that I will get power.
Lou, fix this.
Save us, Lou. You're our only hope.
Sleep dart or just the stun?
You're gonna need a lot of sleep darts to affect that.
Thermal detonator. Times 10.
What?
Oh, that's right. The grenade, mine still affects an area. Sweet.
All right, moving into our discussion topic. Let's talk about coffee so far, how we feel about it, how you feel it's going.
Well, I really like mine with like a hazelnut undertone. Oh, we're not talking about the coffee that Lou's serving?
Are you trying to make Maury hungry?
I know, I'd quite like a hot topic. Is that a store?
Oh, there goes Paige's chair.
I'm not sitting in it anyway, so I'm pretty much going to burn this chair and use your money to buy a new one.
It's in Maury's mouth.
What, your money?
The chair. My money. I have no money. I'm the only Sith Lord that qualifies for poverty.
Well, at least you have a qualification in something.
I have to force choke people and dig credits out of their pockets using vending machines.
I wish I could force choke people.
Don't.
Other than with my repulsive smell. Seriously, is that urinal cake coming? Because
They're on your back. Use your little stubby arms and try to grab one.
I need more. There's not enough. There's some kind of space fly around me.
So, Lou.
It's laying eggs in me. Please help.
Lou.
Help. Help. Oh my god, please. It's burrowing. Oh, I can feel it. Oh, it's laying eggs. Oh, it's gross.
Lou.
But
Alright, I'll start us off.
Who is Olan? Please start the conversation.
Alright, as we noticed, okay, this past Tuesday, BioWare gave us the latest chapter, Chapter 10 released. Okay? So if you haven't been following the game, or if you've been hiding, Chapter 10 is out. Anarchy in Paradise. So, the latest and greatest installment in Knights of the Fallen Empire. Alright, for those who have not played it yet, We are trying to keep this spoiler-free, but if you wish to remain absolutely sure that you're not going to hear anything or see or experience anything you don't want to do yet, skip ahead for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes of the show while we discuss the topic. And here we go. All right, so Chapter 10, released. Okay? And I don't think it was any big secret as to who you were actually going after, since BioWare pretty much spoiled it themselves by having some images as to who actually you were going after in Chapter 10. Okay? And so this is for the benefit of those who have done it yet or haven't done it yet.
I've heard that this is Maury's favorite companion.
Yes. Yes, one of them, to say the least. All right?
Used to be mine, too, if you recall.
I could never stand his companion. I couldn't.
No,
wait
if you remember from our old show, we had an episode actually talking about how much I like this companion.
Yeah, and I think I was the counterpoint to how much I hated this companion.
I was being facetious. I hated her too.
It was just it's just amazing to me that up to this point they kept things spoiler free, but then you realize, okay, the moment you saw the very first time I saw that image, like, oh, it's Cleo. All right, we're going after Cleo this time. Wow. Okay, at least when they gave us Scorpio, all you knew was Lady of Sorrows, underworld badass, informant, so information broker, and so on. And it was a nice surprise to see. Holy crap! It's the Agent's Fembot that you're going after. Okay, here is just we all knew what was going on, who we were going after. All right. Even though the description that they gave as to that person you're going after, you pretty much, by process elimination, figure out who you're going after. And I tried it out last night, okay, after the patch dropped. I've done it twice so far, 2 different characters. I did it on my main, on my operative, obviously. And then I also ran it again on my Sentinel. And from what I've seen from yesterday going into, just before we started doing the show, I know there are a lot of mixed reactions going on, at least from the players who are expressing their opinions in all various forms of social media, such as on Twitter, Facebook, on Reddit. Okay, you're going to see a mixed bag of results. All right, you're going to have players who were extremely happy with what they saw, what they experienced, or players who are, okay, that was cool, all right, whatever. They're the average reaction. All right, good. I did it. It's cool. I liked it. And then you're going to have those who were not happy with it, and they're stating their various reasons as to what they didn't like about what Chapter 10 dropped so far into the game. All right, for myself, all right, again, it's just my opinion. Chapter 10 it's okay. To me, I feel it's more. It felt mediocre to me. All right, what I saw as I finished it, I wasn't really impressed with it. Okay. I'm glad they did it, though. I mean, great. We're continuing the story. That I'm grateful for. That I like. That we're getting this. It's a new chapter. We got it. We're playing it. Cool.
Does Chapter 10 feel like it's kind of setting the stage for better chapters to come?
I sincerely hope so. Because, again, like I said, just for me, I wasn't too entirely... I didn't walk away saying, oh, yeah, awesome. Okay? After playing the first 9 chapters of Coffee, I walked away from, yeah, that was good. All right, let me see the rest of it. I get to Chapter 10, now I feel like, okay, I just got stopped dead in my tracks. All right. Some of the things I didn't like about what happened was, and it's some I've also seen shared by other folks as well, some of the mechanics that you have during these fights, or some of the plot mechanics in terms of, or the quest mechanics, you say, the quest steps you're taking, boring. Okay?
Yep.
Boring and repetitive.
Yep.
All right? Where it's this stage, 4 things. Next stage, it's pretty much stage 1, but you're doing the same 4 things. All right? And the moment I saw the second stage, I was like, you have to be kidding me. I'm doing the same exact thing, but on a different part of the planet. All right? To me, I find it extremely boring in any game I play. If you're making me do the same exact thing, but on level B, and I'm doing it again on level C, D, and E, and F, oh my God.
It's kind of like what Maury was describing that he felt when he first started playing the game, that there was combat just for the sake of combat instead of just giving you the story all in one shot.
Right, and that's where I'm also going to tie that in. Okay, there was combat just for the sake of fighting.
Yep.
Okay?
Did it-
I'm on my operative. Okay, I can stealth. I'm like, all right, cool. Just like every other mission I played since 2011, if I don't want to fight, cool. Guess what I'm going to do, folks? I'm going to hit the stealth generator. I'm going to disappear and avoid fighting because that's not how I quote unquote play my operative. I'm not built for long fights.
That's something that Fred and I used to do so much. We'd be like, oh my goodness, how many of these guys are there? So I'd be on my assassin, he'd be on his operative, we'd stealth. And there's so many times that we were able to, like, duo heroic fours, you know, when they used to be hard. Because we just, like, crowd control a bunch of stuff in stealth, kill a bunch of stuff, and then we'd be fine, you know?
You know, conversely, though, before coffee hit, when XP was kind of a challenge to get enough of it to level up, we would do that crap where we'd be grouped together and we'd stealth through a bunch of stuff, and then we'd end up being, like, 5 or 6 levels below a planet. Because we didn't fight all the trash along the way. Now I bet you could probably stealth through the entire game and still be level capped by the 3rd planet.
Right, and you know, you'll see players who have done something similar to that, to that effect. All right, but that was the thing when I running through chapter 10. Okay, seeing how everything was laid out and what I had to do. My initial instinct of my operative is to stealth up and avoid, stay away as far away from everyone as possible. That way, all right, I don't want to get engaged in fights. So that's not me. I want to get through, I want to get through the storyline, not rush through it. But if I don't have to fight, I don't want to fight. Okay.
Well,
you gave my character the ability to stealth to avoid this kind of thing to begin with, and then to have it forced down my throat. That ticked me off.
And some of the aggro ranges, it's like there were times I could kill somebody standing right next to another character, and the one character wouldn't move or acknowledge I existed. If I got line of sight of a room where a cool knight was, a gold, he would leap through 3 rooms and attack me and stun me for 8 seconds. It's like,
yep.
Oh man, this thing really needed testing.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, and that's one thing I encountered as well. Okay, I'm going down a hallway, and there's a cool knight in a different room, obviously on the same pathway, but in a completely different room. Okay, if this is the real world, that knight would have been 60, 70, 80 feet away. Okay, and yet somehow, and traditional aggro ranges in these games, all right, can be small. Obviously, can be determined by the game developers. All right, that can
it's usually length of abilities though, or
right.
Just a little bit longer, so you can attack them and then the aggro. But yeah, there were the aggro at the other end of
it's like the length of a football field.
Yeah.
Okay, pick me up in stealth from 5 times the distance of normal aggro range in this game, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's like it was forcing you into fights rather than even giving you really the options to get around them. It was just forced mechanics to make the content longer.
Right, and that's what drove me mad. The fact that you are forcing me into combat just to stretch out the time that it's taking me to complete the story.
Well, it's just like those droids that exist all throughout the game where just every few seconds they'll drop those little probes to try to detect somebody in stealth.
I hate those droids so much. Well, not I just tried to combine those 2 words. Not the droids, I mean, but those probes. Oh my goodness. Especially when you don't know they're there. You're like, oh yeah, I'm sneaking up on you. Oh no, they got me. Especially when you're doing something stupid, like you sent your companion to go sell your trash.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking of probes, can somebody... Oh, ID10T's moving. Oh, God.
But at least in the classic game, they were usually at certain choke points where it was logical for them to be there. They weren't just everywhere popping you out of stealth. They were at certain spots like, okay, I've got to time this correctly to get through.
Right. But, and again, like you said, at choke points, all right? Because again, I will relay my own personal experience. Okay, again, I'm on my operative. I get out of combat. I do what I have to do, collect the loot, what have you, stealth up, and moving down onto the next corridor, into the next room, okay? I literally enter one corridor. I see the comment symbol pop up, and guess where these sky troopers are coming from? At the complete opposite end of the room I am entering. Okay, I have barely entered the room. All right, and combat starting. Okay.
It's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, this to me, all right. Again, my own personal opinion is just poor encounter design.
Have you noticed the same thing, Pele?
Yeah, it was really laggy at times. There'd also be like when you first get to a certain area where you've taken a taxi basically to an area, you get out. I skirted a group on one side and was going to deal with another one. What I've done 100,000 times before in this game, and I attacked the second group, and the first group pulled, and I'm like, that makes no sense. That's not how the game has been running before. Or I had sometimes a server would, I guess, forget where I was at, so I would like try to do the twin saber throw in front of me, and it would shoot out behind me, and it's like, well, that's a great waste.
Yeah, it was so laggy yesterday. I mean, I played it as soon as it went live, almost. After we had extended maintenance, which took like forever. But yeah, it was so laggy,
and they put
abilities weren't happening or anything.
And they would put us back out in the public areas, and you'd be trying to do your time because like no one's around, so you go click the item, and enemies would spawn. And then, okay, you defeat yours, you're trying to get away, someone else would come along, click theirs, and their enemies would aggro onto you.
Yes.
When I was doing it, there was like 10 people around, and there was like 10 lots of enemies. Because, like I said, everyone was doing it, and there was just enemies everywhere. Like, people were just dying, and bodies were just mutilated, and there was just Sky Trooper entrails all over the place. It was hectic. And then, like, for some reason, the interactables aren't instant to you, so you have to wait for other people to click, and then other people have better frame rate than me because I'm in the UK, and they get their click first, and I'm waiting 5 minutes because everybody's got slightly quicker frame rates and connection and blah.
I'm polite, and I wait my turn. So if you got there before me, I'd wait for you to go. But then, everybody would be going before me, so then I'd go, well,
you'd be
screw
sending
this
me a
guy.
message on. You'd be sending me a message on Skype telling me how much you're a jerk and how much you hate waiting for me.
I've never said anything so mean.
I was usually good enough to. My timing was such that I was hitting the items before other people were there, or just they were done. But it's like I said, I was trying to get away, and stuff would aggro on me, or they would come. Sometimes I felt like I was playing Dragon Age 2, where stuff just dropped out of the sky on me.
Right, and that's what I didn't understand. It has two. All right, again, when you're clicking, when you're interacting with the quest items to drive your part of the quest onward, okay, they should at least account for the fact that, okay, let the thing, go blank for a few seconds extra. That way, when someone else interacts with that same item, okay, nothing's going to affect you. Because every time that happened to me, it was because I was in the middle of looting everything, and of course, people aren't going to wait. They're going to hit the interactive icon, boom, and guess where I am? In the middle of everything again.
Right. I mean, they should have. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was getting hit left and right. So people were yelling at me because, what the hell are you doing, jerk? That's mine. Like, hey, you know what? It's red to me because you couldn't wait for me to leave the area, jackass.
Yeah, they should make those tap to the person who's clicking it, automatically. It's like, that's yours.
Right.
These are the ones you got to kill. Oh, and
so you and your companion. That's it. Like, no one else in the area is off limits to those mobs. Those mobs don't read them per se.
Right. Well, and another thing was like some of the, at least for me, one of the the very first thing you really click on a big item,
right,
to start a cutscene. It's like you see the normal items that are the shiny gray that says "Click me." I'm sitting there trying to click on them. Nothing happens. I happen to scroll my mouse cursor up into an area where you normally wouldn't click, and it's like, oh, now I can click.
Yeah,
this
now
makes
you're in
no
range and
sense.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was standing like almost nose on the gray spot on the bottom that you click and it wouldn't work, and I just happened to move my mouse up and okay, someone isn't mapping these correctly.
Yeah.
Oh no, like I said, it felt, and I know they don't want to ruin the story for a lot of people, but once the pre-patch hit, there was somebody who posted all the crap on Reddit. You know, what the story was going to have, the dialogue and everything. But some of the stuff, I just wish they would test it better. I enjoyed the story. It was interesting. Some of the beats with the character that you were getting.
Yeah, I enjoyed the story. It was good.
Was kind of interesting. They showed some nuance. You know, this is Freed who wrote the agent story, so he knows this particular NPC very well.
Right.
And so I enjoyed that. But I just, like I said on Twitter, the biggest quality of life issue I wish they would add is being able to spacebar through these meaningless Skytrooper corridor combats, because there's just too many of them.
I wish they'd get rid of other people. I just wish everything in the new chapters was just instants. Like, just give me my own part of Zakul or whatever, you know, and then let me go to Odessa and there could be people there. Let me go to the ship, let there be people there. But like, why have one interactable for 50 people on? It drives me crazy. It's like when, you know, like we were talking about in the earlier chapters. You know, you exit a phase to do one quest, and then there's like 100 people there. Like, just make it all instants. Like, stop trying to force the MMO when you're taking the MMO out of it by making it story focused. Like, giving me a single player experience. And I don't usually say things like that, but it's just driving me crazy.
Right. Well, and again, that's one of the things that irks me, the fact that, as Paulie just said, yeah, it's written by the same writer who wrote the agent story. Okay, and the dialogue between the agent and Cleo, all right, is there. Okay, you get some sharp comments here and there. All right, the usual banter and exchange that those two characters have had during the course of the game so far up to this point. All right, you know, two dangerous individuals in the galaxy. Yes, the Imperial agent, you, okay, and Cleo, the anarchist. You know, with that amazing skill set, yeah, and she can do damage, and people are right to fear her because of what she can do, and she's so unpredictable. All right, and you see that in the speeches that, you know, the dialogue that you have with the two of them. Okay, with the male, female, doesn't matter. Okay, you see it there. Okay, and you see how Cleo reacts to you as the agent, and then if you're the agent, and then how your agent reacts to her.
Oh, speaking of that, I noticed on my Sentinel, I was disappointed that Cleo doesn't acknowledge that she's met you. And she has, because I've done all the doc dialogues. And it's like, you've been on the Jedi Knight's ship. If you've done that, you have met them, even briefly. It would have been nice. It's like, I think I remember you, or something like that. But I didn't see any of that. So it's like, oh, you know.
To be fair, though, she's probably been on a lot of ships.
Well,
she's a bit of a bag.
I think, too, if you make Doc...
Glory.
She is.
You can't say that.
No, sir.
What, really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, though, that if you make Doc hate you, you never meet her.
Right, but in this case, Doc liked my character.
That's too much work
him
to differentiate between the two, whether he likes or hates you.
Yeah, but still, you know, when story matters, you want all those little beats to be there. Acknowledge all the stuff.
That meant only coffee story matters. That's the fine print that you got to read at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Under all the asterisks and little weird symbols.
Yeah, and again, okay, that's, you know, hopefully if devs look at the feedback, constructive feedback, I should say, that's out there, maybe they'll take the time to adjust some of the pacing or some of the encounters that they have going on that's planned for the rest of the storyline, because useless repetitive combat like that, not necessary, and it kills the gameplay feeling for me. I don't give a rat's ass about the story. If the rest of the gameplay is boring, I'm not going to care about the story in the end.
Well, it makes it filler, and I was sitting there thinking...
Yeah, it's like you...
If you were running once this is out and you were running a character through all of Kotfi at one time, this chapter's going to feel very tedious.
Yeah.
And if the others are like it, they're going to feel very tedious, because it doesn't feel like... I mean, even though the threat has ramped up a little bit, it doesn't strike home to you. It doesn't feel visceral. You know, the machinations going on are all off stage. You don't see any of the consequences or reactions. And it's like, it's like, this is Khalil's story, and you're just kind of tagging along, and that it's like, well, I'm the Outlander. Shouldn't I be the important one?
and yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the points I was going to make is it's the same situation for those who have played Guild Wars 2, okay? Your character is the hero of Guild Wars, okay? And yet the moment you meet, who's that one Sylvan guy that you NPC that becomes part of your army?
I can't think of it.
Jeez. All right, when I think of it, I'll bring it back up. All right, you've played the game, okay? Your character will encounter a Sylvan male, okay, who has visions, who has a destiny to fulfill, so to speak, okay? And from that point in that game, it seems like you're tagging along, even though the game has billed you as the hero or one of the heroes of Tyria. You're pretty much tagging along as to this guy's whims and what is happening to him, as opposed to you helping drive events forward. Okay, you're along for the ride. Here, it was all about you are dancing to Khalil's tune. You're on her leash. Okay? All right, you're the one who went out to recruit her, if possible, to meet her. All right? And you're the commander of Sith Intelligence, right? You're Cypher 9. Okay? She was one of your compatriots, one of your henchmen. Sorry to say, I don't care what she says. She's one of your henchmen. Otherwise, she could leave whenever she wants. She's following you for a reason. Okay? And the way part of this exchange was arranged in Chapter 10, it felt like, what the heck? What am I, 10 years old again? Chasing after somebody? What is going on with this? Okay, no, this is not the agent who drove that, who drove the Star Cabal crazy, okay? Who's down Sith Lords and Jedi Masters. No. This is someone who's chasing after one of their former followers. And it felt like, come on, man, just come back and join me. Like, no.
I like you so much, I'd pull your hair and push you down on the playground.
Yeah, that's exact. It's like,
well, you'd pull her hair if she had any.
If she had any.
Yeah.
But it just felt like you were there along for the ride for Khalil's mission, not you, the agent, on a recruiting mission to get Firebrand. Who you find out, oh crap, that's Khalil, if you're the agent.
Which everybody could tell from the spoiler preview.
Right. So it felt uneven in that regard. Okay?
I really don't like how they keep spoiling the chapters before they come out.
Well, I think that's... I don't know if that's part of their response to... You guys are always so tight-lipped, blah, 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 always keeping things close to the chest, we never hear anything, and now we'll just show spoilers here and there.
Yeah, but that isn't what we wanted. We want to know what they're working on as far as features go, not story.
Right, because we understand. We don't want you to spoil the story. And I noticed, too, that they dumped a bunch of story in the game files, and of course the data miners picked it up, and I guess they're not so super happy with BioWare, so they started dumping all this crap out, potentially spoiling the chapters that are coming, and it's like, don't put story secrets in content that's coming out. Leave it until it comes out, because it will leak.
Right.
Or the data miners could not spoil the story stuff.
Right. I mean, as I was doing the chapter the other night, I realized, okay, if you're playing an Imperial agent character going after a Firebrand, and then once you realize who you're going after in the first place, I think it was a missed opportunity to where you could have had this whole chapter highlight the strengths of this team. Because remember, if you're the agent, you started off with Khalil.
Well,
and you're a pretty good combo to begin with. It's like you could have wrote combat encounters in here to where you highlighted or showcased this is the Imperial agent. Okay, this is a prime representative of Imperial intelligence that had the galaxy afraid of the Empire. Okay, and then Khalil, in and of herself, okay, the underworld knows her because of, holy crap, again, as to what she can do, what she's capable of, afraid of her potential.
Well, and the irony of her being a terrorist, given the very first chapter of the agent and why the agent started doing their stuff. It's like a terrorist attack got you going, and now you're one of your former companions is a terrorist, and that's, they could have really played with that. It's like,
Right.
What are you doing? It's like, I started serving the Empire to stop people like you.
Right, and I felt like for future, if they're going to do stuff like this, to where if it's the actual, it fits a companion that's part of your iconic class, design encounters that reflect that. Okay, whether you're if you're an agent, whether you're an operative or a sniper, you could have designed combat missions to highlight the fact that, all right, this is an operative. What are they going to do? All right, this is the sniper. This agent's a sniper, paired up with Cleo. Let him loose. Let the Zakul Knights and the Skytroopers figure out why these people were something to be feared in the other parts of the galaxy.
Like if you're a sniper, be able to snipe a Zakul Knight down a long corridor or stealth past groups. Play to those strengths.
Exactly.
Other people, like my Sentinel, would have to do a lot more fighting. But man, if I could pick off Sky Troopers and Knights as a sniper, that would be cool.
Yeah, exactly. And, other stuff too. It's like, on the agent, slicing stuff, doing other things like that. All right, pair that up, exploit those strengths, have the combat add to the story by giving it flavor. That kind of flavor to it.
Well, it's interesting. It's like almost the story they're talking about is the interactions between you and the companion. It's not anything else. It's not the plot. It's basically the dialogue and the companion's reactions. That's their story. It isn't chapter 10 as a whole. It's, chatting with your bud Kaleo, figuring out who has dibs on the head.
Right.
Well, thankfully, I never heard that phrase.
And again, there are also a couple of other cutscenes in the chapter, which are very interesting, very nice to see, although I felt they were kind of short and didn't really capitalize on the emotions they were trying to drive forward, okay? In one of the cutscenes, okay, it involves Arkin, and Valen. And Arkin is obviously very angry, and he has stuff set into motion that will affect certain parts of the galaxy, okay? I think there was an opportunity there to actually show, okay, they could have capitalized on to, show just how despicable and just how ruthless and how much of a bastard he can be because he has the Eternal Fleet at his command. All right? If you're following what I'm saying, I'm intimating, imagine what that kind of power can do, okay? There you go.
Just like KOTOR 1, where you saw Malik destroy Terrace.
Right.
It wasn't the greatest graphics, but at least it gave you a visceral impact of seeing a planetary bombardment.
Right. And that's something, there were opportunities there where they could have showed that to actually drive the emotion home to the players. All right. And further on into the chapter, okay, kind of a spoiler, but not going to say anything. All right, one of your other companions that you've recruited, all right, is going to have an issue with this. Okay, a very big issue with this. All right. Even though this person, is part of your team, is joining in your fight against the Eternal Empire, this NPC is going to have issues with the newest recruit that you're trying to bring into the Alliance. And for me, that was just like, all right, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There are lots of phrases out there, old cliches, old memes saying, okay, there's a fine line between hero and terrorist. Okay, which do you fancy yourself as? All right, and some of the dialogue and some of the interaction I saw there, this particular NPC, I was just like, wow, hypocrite much? Because look what you're doing. It's like, how do you stand there and say that and spout off these platitudes and you're doing the same exact thing? Like, you're helping my fight by doing the same exact thing. So
yeah, and that's one where it's like a lot of people are like, good riddance. It's like I'm glad that other character's gone. And it's like, this really doesn't feel like a choice matters. It doesn't feel like, oh, did I screw that up? It's like, no, you're just an obnoxious little twit and be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to ask you, what did you think about when you get to a certain point, you get a comment from Valkorion, and it's like, did that seem appropriate? Did it seem gratuitous? It's like, should have been there, or
I don't think it should have been there at all. All right, I didn't think it was necessary. But if you were going to bring Valkorion in there to provide, obviously, his usual side commentary, again, at least give it some sort of impact, or at least, if not impact, make sure it's going to drive undercurrents of the story. Okay, if it's not going to be the focus, all right, make sure it's somewhere in there to where you're going to feel that impact later on down the road, or something you're going to remember. Because it may not be significant now, but the fact of the events that are going forward, somewhere you're going to remember, oh, wow, he did say that, didn't he?
I think that's just going to be... I think that's kind of just there to kind of keep it current that, like, he's part of your psyche.
Yeah, they don't want you to forget the Valkyries involved.
Yeah, he's inside your head.
Yeah, it's like it's just, it's kind of like the very beginning of the chapter, It's like, that's the fan service part again. And, like, I didn't actually like that entire segment, before you actually start the chapter properly. You can kind of tell it was added on, after the fact, the opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Valkorion felt like it was the token, Valkorion appearance in this chapter.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Arkan and Valen, they had some interesting back and forth, but like I said, all their stuff felt like it was happening off stage. I don't feel like it impacted the character. It's like, if you want my decisions to matter, they need to show up, or we need to see them reacting to us or something. It's like, oh, I do this, it pisses them off, they do that, it makes it harder for me to do what I'm doing, or easier, one way or the other.
I mean, kind of like in the earlier chapters when you would do something and it would cut to them in the throne room talking to each other about what you just did.
Right, and then they would maybe do something, like send more troopers out, or less troopers, or, and, if they said something like, oh, we're going to send this person, and that person shows up, or maybe you make a choice one way, and that NPC never shows up, then that would make it feel like you're affecting the world. As it is, it just feels like, it's all happening off screen, and it just does, it's like, okay, 5 planets were destroyed, but...
Or, hey, they really want story to matter, you make a decision that makes them mad, and they just randomly kill one of your companions.
Yeah,
and you don't even know who.
Or if you want decisions to matter, maybe you irritate Kaleo, and she decides to try to take both of you together, and it kills her off. That would have been an interesting situation. It's like, screw you, boom.
That happened in games like Dragon Age. If you made the wrong decision, your companion would turn on you in a heartbeat.
Right. And I mean, like I said, the one big reaction is like, okay, I could see how that might matter down the road, but a lot of people don't like that character. So it's like good riddance. So it's, when you make a decision, you want to say, oh, am I doing the right thing or not? And a lot of times I feel like I don't care what happens. It's more like, how am I going to get through this playing my character the way I like? I mean, some of the conversations are interesting because, like, spoiler, I said I wanted to get my life back, which was a natural reaction. And it's like, oh, Kaleo actually liked that. That was cool. And so, there are little nuances and dialogues and things I like, but, it never felt like a decision I was doing stuff with Kaleo had that big an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been too. It would have been interesting, let's say, the character who could have left, if they were on planet, you'd go light side, they're doing something, get caught and get killed, or you go dark side, do the damage, and it causes the reaction, and they get away and survive. That would have been an interesting choice. You're trying to do the right thing, and one of your companions gets it, would be interesting.
Yeah. Or if they just do something at some point in the story where they just kill off a random companion of yours.
Yeah.
That would have impact. Because there's no like reload like in a single player game.
Right. And I guess that's what. But with that, you also have to be careful. Seeing from BioWare's point of view, obviously there are going to be players who like those companions. So, but again, if you try to please everyone, and you're not going to be pleasing anyone at all.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, we killed a Laura Dorn, but you get to keep Tanovic.
Well, and see, that's the thing. I mean, again, if you're pushing the story to where our choices have to matter, okay, if our choices do matter, then at some point, the writers and the devs have to accept. They're going to have to bite the bullet and say, yeah, this is what we're going to write. This is what's going to happen. If it causes an uproar amongst a segment of the population that likes these companions, likes this, okay, tough bleep. Okay, this is how this is what BioWare's done in the past and all their other games. To where if you do a certain sequence of events in a game, all right, things are going to happen to your companions, all right, to your party. And it's going to be detrimental, or sometimes it'll be favorable, but what have you. Your character has to live with that, okay? And, with this, it's like, okay, give us the opportunity, fine. If people are angry because something happened, because of these characters, the companions, whatever, this is our story. This is the story we're writing. We're presenting to you, the player.
Right. I mean, it's not like we're lacking for companions, because if you do any parts of the Alliance system, you have a bazillion companions. I mean, more companions than you can throw a lightsaber at. And, it makes the story have impact if you can recruit a companion or kill them, or it feels meaningful. Like the one example where you can kill somebody's companion, it doesn't feel meaningful because they don't join. Either you can kill them or ignore them, and that's it. And it's like they don't join you. Doesn't matter whichever way you go, you still have the same story. But if by your choice a companion can die, then that adds some drama to what's going on. As it is, it feels like all the companions have plot armor, and it kind of kills the tension of the game. It's like, well, okay, I'm kind of walking through my paces, but it's not really going to matter one way or the other what choice I make.
Don't worry, Pele. At the end of Coffee, they're going to have some kind of story event that just kills off every single companion that you can't change their outfit. They're just all going to go, and you're just going to be stuck with your original 5 again.
Well, I wouldn't say it. I consider it as being stuck, because I look at it this way. I mean, we have a plethora of companions now because we're obviously building an alliance to take on the Eternal Empire. Great, I understand that. I'm all for it, and this is why we have a companion list now that's like 12 pages long.
Yep.
But in the end, all my characters care about are my core companions, because guess what? I did all this in the past with myself and my 5. Okay? And I think that's the point. One of the points I'm trying to make is the fact that in the end, I'm grateful we have these Alliance recruiting missions, we have all these other NPCs we can bring into the fold and use, and it has some really great story with them, great dialogue. But for me, Mike, for my Sentinel, it's always going to be, my 5 that I tackled all this with. Okay, these are the 5 where I helped me get the Battle Master title. Okay, these are the 5 that helped me along to where my console earned the Barcentaur title. Okay, these are the 5 that helped me along to help me along my destiny and help drive events forward in the galaxy.
I really don't think we're ever going to go back to that, though, just because of the way that they let Tanovic get offed so early in the story.
Right, so early in the story, but again, if if you wanted us to have those kind of choices, blah, blah, again, these are things that, I don't know, maybe at one point they consider, but then realize, hey, as we write the overall story of a coffee, these are one of those hard choices that they're going to have to make.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would have preferred, like, before coffee ever came out or we heard what it was going to be or anything, I would have preferred a standard expansion that just added one new companion for every class. But that's not what we got. We just got a pool of common companions amongst everybody now.
And I don't mind giving people a chance to recruit cross-class companions, because sometimes it's like, oh, I wish this character could have that companion because it would be an interesting mix, or I really like that character. But I mean, again, if choices matter for dramatic tension,
spoilers, choices don't matter.
I know. But, for story purposes and dramatic tension, you should fear for a companion dying based on your choice, or something going wrong, them leaving you permanently or whatever, however they wish to do it. Or them just saying, okay, I'm like Tanovic, they could say, no, I know you want to recruit me, but I don't want to come back. Or I'll go to your base, but I won't go out with you. I'll help you smuggle stuff in. And okay, they're there. You haven't lost them. They're contributing, but they're not necessarily, they're not a follower that you can call up or something. I don't know. It's just, I like the interpersonal reaction with the characters, but like I said, the rest of the story at this point was, to me, weak. And then, like I said, the gameplay, and this may be the patch day problems, was just, killing Sky Troopers is tedious, and really truly beyond monotonous at this point. They need to spice up these encounters, make them different. If I'm going to go click 6 switches, make each fight different. Sky Troopers dropping out of the sky is incredibly boring.
Yeah.
Especially because they always, how do they know exactly where I am? Okay, I just blew something up, or
they're
did
advanced
whatever.
Computers.
But, yeah, not that advanced. But
they might be. The Cool's more advanced than the Empire and Republic.
Yeah.
Or if they just had them in, crates around these critical points, and they opened up and stepped out. It's like, oh, that you activated the security system. That would be more understandable than Sky Trooper, 3 Sky Troopers just dropping in from nowhere.
Yeah, but if they were doing that, I wish it wasn't a Sky Trooper. It could be just something that was fixed to that system, as opposed to, hey, look, hey, Sky Trooper, why are you here? Why are you not somewhere where something could go wrong? Why are you just hanging out in a crate? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, good thoughts, and I feel like there was a lot of good discussion in there about critiques and ways that they can improve going forward, hopefully. But it is time that we move on into the Star Wars recommendation of the week. What do you have for us this week, Paige?
Got something awesome! This is from my friends over at ThinkGeek.com, and this is a Darth Vader briefcase. And there's a description I'm going to read, because their descriptions are always awesome. If there's one thing you don't want to be, it's not ready for a meeting with Darth Vader. Dude strides so fast that his heavy cape billows out behind him. That's a good sign that he's going to be on time, and you better be too. Also, anybody who can force kick you from across the table is bad to anger during meetings. Be on time and be prepared, or suffer the consequences. Show up on time, armed with this Darth Vader briefcase to be ready for anything the dark side requires of you. This briefcase with styling like Vader's armor can hold old school maps to the location of the Rebel base, your hologram projector, or your tablet or laptop if that technology is more your speed. This briefcase with styling like Vader's armor can hold old school maps to the location of the Rebel base, your hologram projector, or your tablet or laptop if that technology is more your speed, and that risk assessment report you wrote on how thermal exhaust ports really should be shielded. Hopefully you won't have to go after Smith in accounting again, because he puts everybody to sleep, and then nobody will be listening when it comes your turn. Darth Vader, briefcase, okay?
For a briefcase, that was a pretty long explanation.
You know what?
It was less brief.
They did. Shut up. They did mention on the website for this. I'll post the link and everything. It holds a 17-inch laptop, but not all 17-inch laptops are made the same. So you really do need to check your measurements before you go ordering this thing. So
Exactly.
check your stuff.
Size matters.
Never trust anyone who says they've got 17-inch laptop.
Moving on into the intelligence report, Lou.
And this week, we're going to dabble a little bit into the Dark Jedi, the face of darkness. Or in the words of Jedi Master Oba, a Dark Jedi, on the other hand, has much smaller ambitions. He or she thinks only of himself. He acts alone. The ultimate goal is not galactic conquest, but personal wealth and importance, like a common thug or criminal. He revels in cruelty and selfishness. He preys upon the weak and vulnerable, spreading misery and suffering wherever he goes. So the Dark Jedi, also known as Fallen Jedi, were Force sensitives, frequently former Jedi, who chose to deny the light side of the Force or follow the dark side. Although Dark Jedi originally referred to a Jedi who had fallen to the dark side, it could also refer to uninitiated Force sensitives who received no Jedi training but began their careers under another Dark Jedi. Others were simply dark side users who did not follow teachings of the Sith or other dark side organizations. In some cases, Dark Jedi also included artificial Force sensitives who served the dark side, such as the Reborn and the Shadow Troopers. The first Dark Jedi was believed to be Zendor, who was the first member of the Jedi Order to fall. Other Forerunners included Ajunta Paul and others who, after the 100-Year Darkness, were exiled from Galactic Republic space and became the ancient progenitors of the Sith Lords. Ultimately, the title became something of a blanket term for Darksiders who could not be classified as belonging to any specific Darkside organization. Dark Jedi also became a term of note during the Great Sith War and the Jedi Civil War, where fallen Jedi served under the banners of Istar Kun and a duo of Darth Revan and Darth Malak, respectively. Thousands of years later, Sith Lords such as Palpatine would resurrect the term, with agents serving under him bearing the title. Those whom the Murluka Jedi controlled came to be known as the Seven Dark Jedi. And here we go into a description and a relationship to the Sith. And this is a little quote of a dialogue exchange between Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress, where Dooku says, "A bold claim, but you are not Sith. You wear the trappings of the Sith. You fight like the Sith. But this can be imitated, however. You lack a vital quality found in all Sith. Sith have no fear, and I sense much fear in you." And here where Ventress responds, "You are a foolish old man who knows nothing of the dark side." Indeed. And folks, quick little side note, if you've watched the Clone Wars, this is a great little scene between the two of them. Okay? And obviously it leads to a pretty cool saber fight too. So check it out when you have a chance. So, despite the fact that both groups called upon the dark side of the Force, Dark Jedi were not the same as the Sith. Though the first group of the Dark Jedi were the predecessors of the Dark Lords in the ancient Sith Empire. The term Dark Jedi was a collective and vague name of dark side practitioners, be they fallen or Jedi, that used Force powers and a lightsaber, but were not always members of a certain organization. Whereas the term Sith refers to a definite heritage or ideology. Some Dark Jedi were allied to the Sith or other organizations, while others were loners. Because they were notoriously dangerous, unstable, and treacherous, Dark Jedi seldom formed well-organized groups on their own in order to expand their following or reinforce their strength. One notable exception to this was the Murluka Dark Jedi Jarek and his retinue of minions. Dark Jedi could also use their power for personal gain, becoming mercenaries or assassins. The Sith, however, was an order that followed their code and studied their history, studied their own skills and techniques, and possessed secrets like Sith alchemy and midichlorian manipulation. Furthermore, after the rule of two was established, the Order of the Sith Lords was limited to only 2 members, a Master and an Apprentice, whereas the Dark Jedi had no organization and no such limitations. The Sith would often seduce Dark Jedi to work for them, without really granting them any knowledge of Sith techniques. Yet most Dark Jedi were willing to serve the Sith, and saw it as a way to further their knowledge of the Force. Like the Sith, they usually used lightsabers with red blades, but were also known to use a variety of colors. Many Darkside practitioners, such as Count Dooku, consider the power of a Dark Jedi to be nothing compared to the power of the Sith. Other individuals, like Darth Vader, practice both Dark Jedi and Sith techniques. According to Dooku, a prime difference between Dark Jedi and Sith is that the Sith lack fear. And here we begin a brief history of the Dark Jedi. And here is a quick little quote from Jedi Master Bodo Bass. "Beware, Jedi Master, lest through carelessness and inattention you let loose on the galaxy a monster." And as I say, this is going to be a quick little summary because there is too much to go into detail. If I really go into this, we'll be here all day. However, suffice to say, a lot of these would be their own lore segments in their own right. And so we begin with the Old Republic era, the First Great Schism, and the early Dark Jedi. After the Jedi Order was established, divisions began to appear within the Order structure, leading to the First Great Schism, which is around 24,500 years before the Battle of Yavin, when several Jedi were discovered delving within the dark side of the Force. The Dark Jedi Zendor and his followers allied with the Master of Terraskazi, Arden Lyn, and her followers Apollo from Bundaki. In a climactic battle, Zendor was slain, Jedi Master Lancer Pina stopped Arden's heart with Marie Crow, and Lyn killed Pina with a Kashi Mara talisman. After the war, the rest of the dissidents, known as the Legions of the Tau, were defeated. Now we move on to the Second Great Schism and the 100-Year Darkness. For over the next 17 millennia, crises involving the Dark Jedi were rather isolated. One example involved a female Jedi Knight named Halbert, who brought together a contingent of Jedi Knights during the Pius Dea era to defeat a powerful Dark Jedi who had enslaved the Cathol species. Around 7,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, however, a second war broke out between the Jedi and Dark Jedi that lasted 100 years. The Dark Jedi were finally defeated at the Battle of Corvos and exiled into the far reaches of space. See where this is going? These exiles finally landed on the planet Korriban, enslaved the native Sith, and eventually interbred with them and created a new Force organization that eventually would plague the galaxy for millennia, the Sith Cult. And here we move on to the Golden Age of the Sith and the Great Hyperspace War. After their defeat during the earliest Jedi Civil Wars, called the Great Schisms, the adherents of the dark side fled from Republic space and settled on the world of Ziost, where they ruled over the barbaric red-skinned Sith like gods. In time, the Dark Jedi and the remarkably force-sensitive Sith natives interbred through the use of Sith alchemy and became one people. The United Sith formed an immensely rich and powerful empire built upon sorcery and dark side fueled technology, quite possibly adapted from the scattered ruins of the early infinite empire of the Rakata. Over the centuries, the Dark Jedi exiles were forgotten by the Galactic Republic, even as all records of the Republic were lost by the Sith. The two civilizations thrived in isolation, each ignorant of the other. However, after famed Sith Lord Marka Ragnos died, two other Sith Lords, Naga Sadow and Ludo Kresh, clashed for the mantle of Dark Lord. Two explorers from the Republic stumbled upon Korriban and the Sith Empire. They were imprisoned upon arrival, and the Sith Council debated. They were originally going to be executed, but Naga Sadow secretly freed them and left evidence of the Republic. Believing the escape was due to Republic work, the Sith aligned with Sadow and attacked the Republic. And now we move on to the Third Great Schism and the Voltar Cataclysm. In 4,250 years before the Battle of Yavin, the Third Great Schism broke out in Coruscant, which led to the destruction of the Dark Jedi in that conflict in the Voltar Cataclysm. And now, on to the Great Sith War. Whereas many Jedi seduced by Exar Kun became Dark Jedi. After the death of Kun, many Dark Jedi still existed and served under the new Sith Lords like Darth Malak and Darth Nihilus. Here, we move on to the Jedi Civil War. where many Jedi joined Revan and Malak when they joined the Mandalorian Wars, and almost all of them became Dark Jedi when the Jedi Civil War started. Jedi who hadn't followed them were captured and turned to the dark side, becoming Dark Jedi themselves. And now, the Fourth Great Schism and the New Sith Wars. 2,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, Umbaran Jedi Master Thanius fell to the dark side. He left the Jedi Order with 50 Jedi Knights and became Darth Ruin. He eventually established a new Sith Empire that later resulted in the New Sith Wars. During the era of Lord Skir Khan, many Darksiders were considered Sith Lords, and very few Dark Jedi were ever seen in the following millennia until the Clone Wars. The Republic Classic Era. Approximately 600 years before the Battle of Yavin, fallen Jedi Knight Aliyah was banished to Dathomir, where she became the founder of the Witches of Dathomir. In 188 years before the Battle of Yavin, a Dark Jedi conflict occurred on Daenerys, led by fallen Padawan Tib Jin. Jedi Master Qui-Gon's Padawan Xanatos turned to the dark side and later died in a confrontation with his master. A few years before the invasion of Naboo by the Droid army of the Trade Federation, a group of Dark Jedi brought terror to the Elrond sector. The Reign of Fear ended when the Jedi Ambassador Jorah Shabbath and his strike team defeated the Darksiders. And this concludes part 1 of the Dark Jedi. Next week, we're going to pick it up with the Clone Wars. And as always, I wish to say thank you to the Wikipedia, StarWars.com, TheForce.net, and all the other Star Wars lore sites that are out there. Folks, if you enjoy Star Wars history and lore as much as I do, please visit these sites, look up your topics of interest, and enjoy.
And then that takes us into the community holo feed.
And our bi-weekly trivia question. Each week we're going to post a trivia question into the audio and YouTube video version of the show. This question will run for 2 weeks. The audio version will feature 3 clues and the video version will feature 5. Shoot us an email with your answer to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. In the email, include your character name, your faction, and your server. Don't be like me and forget some of that important information. If there's more than one correct answer, we'll do a random drawing to win a cartel pack. Everyone that makes a serious attempt will be entered into a drawing for a much larger prize. Correct answers will get 2 entries into the drawing. You can be entered into the grand prize drawing every time that you answer correctly.
Alright, now this time, we would ordinarily be doing our drawing since this is episode 60, but the amount of entries that we've gotten over the last cycle were kind of pitiful because of how many shows we didn't do in between and how many questions got repeated. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll the entries over to the next drawing, and we're going to greatly increase the prize if our number of entries go up, because it's pretty pitiful how many people are in the pool right now, so it's not a real contest at this point.
Maury peas in the pool.
Speaking of peas, have you got any? I'm really hungry.
Oh, and this last...
Wow!
Oof. Woo.
This last question, we didn't get any correct entries for.
Oh, damn. Okay.
What was the question?
Tune into the last episode, Maury.
Go ahead.
I was on the. I was on the last episode where you was sunbathing. What's going on? I don't know where I am.
We're in a version. We're in a Star Wars version of Jacob's Ladder. This is not cool.
I think I'm getting canker from ID10T. Ew. Or tetanus.
So
the
do
last
you want to
episode was like our holiday special.
you want to roll over then next week then, Fred? Hold off on the.
No, go ahead and give your answer. We'll do a new question because it's been out and nobody's done a guess yet.
All right, I'll just do a quick recap of the clues. All right. First clue: I traveled amongst the stars, a thing that brought misery to those unfortunate to meet me. Second clue: not a human amongst us, where it was our special, unless it was our special cargo. Third clue: my owners walked and worked for the denizens of the criminal underworld, our home being counted as Nar Shaddaa. Fourth clue: a chance encounter would have my crew meet one destined to rebuild the Jedi Order. Fifth clue: that encounter would either end my crew's careers and lives, or see it put to use for financial gain. And the answer to that is... it's the starship known as the Red Eclipse, or one of the servers, TRE. Okay?
I thought it was
Nice.
IG-2000.
Okay, because the Red Eclipse is a slaver vessel, okay? Mostly Trandoshan. And they specialize in, obviously, in slaves, and their specialty was human slaves, okay, going throughout the galaxy.
Just special cargo.
Yeah. Okay, and remember, if you've played Knights of the Republic 2, Sith Lords, guess what happens when you try to land your ship on Nar Shaddaa? Hey! This lady pad isn't for you! It's for the Red Eclipse! Okay? And depending upon what you do with the exile, you could either end the crew's lives or put them to work for you.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Speaking of interesting, Paige, what's going on in our SWTOR community?
Nothing.
What he said.
Yeah.
Check out our. You know I'm gonna just butcher this. You know that, right? I wish that you would just take a clip of me saying it perfectly and just like paste it in every time, so I just stop screwing this up every time.
We
I
can't
say
wait
it.
that long, to be honest.
I already do that in the episode that I actually put out. I just make you say it every week for our entertainment.
You are a Shaduki head forever. Okay. Check out our fellow SWTOR podcasts. Most of them are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWTORnetwork.com. There's Corellian Run Radio at CorellianRun.com, UntiniCast at UntiniCast.com, SWTOR Escape Podcast at NewOverlords.com. The Usual Podcast is at TheUsualPodcast.com. We have some friends over on iTunes, Passionately Casual Podcast, Old Republic Radio, and It's a Trap Podcast. There's also the Bad Feeling Podcast at BadFeelingPodcast.com. Be warned, that is an explicit podcast. You can also follow Madmar at SWTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWTOR community. If you'd like to have your podcast...
Maury, you're a jerk.
Guys, Maury's messing up my lines.
Maury's not going to have edit privileges next week.
If you'd like... Guys! Just screw me up. Like, you guys are the worst.
You almost read it. That was the best part.
It's like watching a train wreck. It almost happened.
Alright, let me say my last line. Dagnabbit. If you'd like to have your podcast listed on this segment, send us an email at StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com.
And one last time, I'll tell you how you can get a hold of us. You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyond Podcast. You can send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet us. The show is at StarWarsBeyond. I'm at Sith Lord Corv. Lou is at GamerGuy11B. Paige is at Ace of Fiery. Pele is at WowPiper. And Maury is at Moriq of Tamriel. And now it's time for our final thoughts. That you, Maury?
It says Fred there. It says Fred for its final thoughts. No?
Been running the show for 60 episodes now. It's your turn.
I mean, apparently not very well.
I
My
never
final
claimed to be
thoughts.
good at my job. I just claimed to do it.
Okay, my final thoughts are...
Okay.
I really despise Sky Troopers. Like, I wish they were Johnny Five Alive from that film. Can't remember what it's called. Spare Parts or something. I don't know. It was in the 80s, you know. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking
Short
about.
Circuit?
Sure, we'll go with that. And also, remember, in space, nobody can hear Paige mess up.
Aww.
Except the people on the ship.
Shut up!
We're not in space. We're in a ship.
In space.
But we're not in space. We're in a ship.
Keep
And I'm
eating
wedged
like
in the
you
ship.
are. Pretty soon we're going to be in you.
Well, you need to feed me more.
I don't
Where's the
see how
peas?
that's possible.
Someone promised me peas. Where are they? Where's Treek?
Pele, what's your final thoughts?
You know, I really hate people who talk
My
over me.
final
That's what it
thought-
says here as well.
Well, I'm going to talk over you anyway, so...
Get back to your closet, janitor.
Haha, no.
Oh, Pele, you're my
Oh,
favorite person
no.
on the ship this
He
week.
just came out of the closet. Oh, no.
Oh, my. Oh, the old man's going to be cranky. All right, let's go. My final thought is I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the character interaction, but honestly, BioWare, please test your system changes on the BTS. The crafting system changes, there was no excuse for that. Even if you didn't have the story, that stuff should have been on PTS and people working with it. You know, it coming out, you can't blame that on the patch problems. You know, those are mistakes. You've had multiple months to get all that right. So please do a better job going forward. And for the sake of Zildrog, enough with Sky Troopers and Corridors. Give us some variety in the combat. Paige, what's your final thought?
Well, I'm about to depress everyone, and I know I do that often because I'm such a sad, sad person. No, okay. I really did.
The hell was that?
In all seriousness, I do have like a serious final thought. Thank you for everyone who let me take some time off because of the death I had in my family, and thank you to everyone that sent me condolences. That was very nice of everybody, and I'm glad to be back. And I just wanted to tell everyone thank you. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Lou, go.
All right, my final thought is, all right, I'm glad Chapter 10 is out. I enjoyed the interaction I had with my agent and Cleo, because again, I missed that dynamic. However, I do feel there could have been some more interpersonal stuff brought in there. Happy overall with it. However, the gameplay in and of itself for Chapter 10, if that's how encounters are going to play out for the chapters, that is something I am completely not looking forward to because it's boring and repetitive. You have, a chance here to really spruce up and spice up the encounters if you're going to focus it for a storytelling type focus. Fine. All right, then give us combat, give us encounters that that add to the story, not just put there to delay time. All right, so please keep up with the great writing. However, the other half of this of the game, fix that. All right, make us excited to actually get into combat, to actually do things in the game, and not just do things just to go on to the next cutscene.
All right, and my final thought is, Morty's disgusting. Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast.
Did someone say there's some spice?
Made in association with NSG Productions.
Lou, where's the spice?
And as my bonus final thought,
I need the spice.
Check out nsgproductions.com.
Chicken wings with spice, please.
And now
Please.
it's time to say goodnight.
Beam me some up, please. I need chicken wings. Good night, everybody. I will be fed. And
Was that like a subtle shout out to Will?
the rest of the I mean, we're not going over that. Like, it's been a bad week, but
F that super guy.
F them all,
Especially that Mac.
especially that Corv. He's a jerk.
And what about that Wanderer guy?
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
That's true. Not even me.
We should probably cut this out.
Oh, don't worry. This episode is going to be like half the length when I'm done with it. All the F-bombs Paige put in the middle of it.
Did I? Oh.
Ah, Shaduki.
That's your goodbye. Plago.
Good night, everybody, and if you want more of Mori the Hut and the Seven Jawas, listen to the Digital XP podcast on iTunes. Good night, everybody.
I hate that you just soiled your goodbye with a plug for that.
Alrighty. Good night, everybody. Not from the captain's chair, from this corner that I've Lysoled and Cloroxed within an inch of its life.
You say lychee? I'm really hungry now.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. See you all again next time.
I'll get the big dental floss so we can get Trick out from between Maury's teeth.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. See you all next time.
You've
served your purpose.
Beyond the Stars bi-weekly trivia question asked on February 10th, 2016. First clue. We were created to serve in the fires of war, to protect democracy and the ideals of the Republic. Second clue. Our first trial run was deemed a mistake and a dismal failure by our creators, but a seasoned veteran saved the first of us. Third clue. We were divided into small operational groups, similar to a famous predator on our birth world. Fourth clue. Covert operations were our specialty, and the cause of our high mortality rate. Fifth clue. In the end, we were divided. Some serve in the darkness, others hiding in the shadows away from the galaxy. Who am I? As a reminder, 3 clues are featured in the audio version of the show. Check out the video version on YouTube for an additional 2 clues. Send an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com, and in your email conclude the answer, your character name, your faction, faction please, and the server you play on. Good luck everyone, looking forward to your answers.